Hey you guys, what is going on everybody? Your girl Shaquan Chanel here from SLFX Trading, and in today's video I am going to be talking about how to trade the news. Now we just had the biggest news that just came out for the United States, or we're still going through that news, which is the presidential election. So right now it is November the 6th at exactly 12:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today the daily time frame closes at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means we get a new weekly candle that prints today. And it's always important to watch out for your weekly candles, and I'm going to talk you guys through this information with understanding how to know what to trade and when to trade, especially when there's heavy news like we've had this week. So let's go ahead and break that information down. Okay, now here's what I do want to say in preface before anything happens. If you did not take a trade this week because of the presidential election, it's okay. There's no rule that says you have to be in a single trade every single week or every single day. It's best if you don't know what's going to happen, if you're unsure. It's best to keep your money in your account, right? No money lost. Let the market show you its hands. What I like to say is you have to play poker with the market. Some people may say, were you saying gambling? No, I'm not saying gamble. Let the market show you its hand before you take your next move. Before you let it show you the setup. Then you trade the setup, right? Versus just trying to say, okay, let me get a sneak peek. Let me see if I can jump in and get some money out really quick. That's when it becomes a gamble, right? So let's go ahead and break this down. Now, this is the dollar index, the DXY, and I'm on a daily time frame. And what this index does is it shows you the health of the dollar, right? This is the health indicator, the strength and the weakness of our United States dollar. And so one thing that I did, especially in my coaching group, was I said, hey you guys, you know what, with the presidential elections going on, I don't know what way the dollar is going to go. It could spike us, but we still have to keep an overall understanding of what this market is doing as far as this indice goes. And the dollar is actually weak, and it's been weak for quite some time. And what I did was I took them through the last few presidential elections, since Obama got into office, since Trump got into the office, and how our currency has gone. Now, I'm not here to get into a political debate. I'm just speaking facts with the currency, okay? So if we go let's go to the higher time frames, and as you guys can see, this is here. I sent them through a little journey, right? We just went through a journey of what happened when Obama was elected, and then what's happened since Trump has been elected, right? I let the price chart speak for itself as far as the currency market goes, not any other market, but the currency market, okay? So if you guys look here, this is in 2008. This was November, right? Before Obama had got elected, what you guys will notice is the dollar was already dropping years prior. The top here is 2001. This was the last high or low here for the significant push in 2001, and then from 2001 all the way up until 2008, the dollar was just tanking. It was in meltdown, right? And this was the cause of, when we were going through recessions and everything like that, right? When our dollar was just plummeting, right? But then Obama gets elected. And when Obama gets elected, the market went sideways. It consolidated. But then in 2014, what happens is our dollar started to rise, right? So when our dollar started to rise, guess what started to tank? Euro USD started to tank. Pound USD started to tank. The Australian dollar started to tank. New Zealand dollar started to tank. All the majors started to push down, okay? Trump gets elected. This was the last high. This was 2016. This was the last high that we've had since Trump has been elected. This year, once Corona hit, Corona tried to push up past 103.85 cents, but we couldn't. It topped out around 103's 280s, or I would say 27 or 28 cents, right? If just to round it off. Now, this is us here right now during the presidential election. Now, let's talk about time frames for a quick second, because this is when you have to get this information. Now, this is a monthly time frame that we're looking at, right? And one thing that I made mention to my coaching group in the beginning of the month was, you guys, this is a hammer, okay? This signals that we could have some bearish weakness, especially if we stay under this candle. So now this is top-down analysis, right? And as you guys can see, I'm just showing them everything that's going on, right? This is the analysis part. So now we have to break it down. When we talk about multiple time frame analysis, especially when it comes to news, this is how we're doing it. We're understanding what's going on for the month, what significant news can come out, what's the week, what's the day. Now, because we're on higher time frames, the news doesn't really affect us day by day, but it will affect us in the long run. Okay, so we go down to the weekly time frame. And what I was telling them is, we need to see if price is going to repeat what it did back here. It gave us a little push, nothing too significant, but then it pushed down. Is price going to repeat this pattern here? And I even have text notes that even go through all of the information that I was thinking as far as what could happen with the elections, right? And I've been neutral on a lot of these currency pairs here. And now, being neutral, on pairs, it kind of helps you adapt to what can happen. And it's not to say you're going to trade every single currency, but it's understanding the nature or the habit or the pattern that the market is making right now. And I said, you guys, if price stays under here, and this is where I have my line here, you guys, if price stays under that hammer, we could see some significant decrease here, right? And so it's testing my zone. So now as we drop down, and I even put this on my Instagram and my stories, it's not there anymore, but at the beginning of the week, we had this significant drop, and I was telling people, y'all, price could spike back up and test, this zone here and then drop. And we have finally dropped, okay? So now we're seeing that with the elections in the currency market, the dollar is still dropping. And if we pass 91.74, you guys, the dollar's just gonna probably keep tanking for a while, but we don't know, so we gotta stay neutral here. So let me go through the currency pairs that I'm in a few trades. I've taken a few trades. I'm out of a few trades, but I want to take you guys through a few that's running as well, but then ones that are not running, but I have done analysis on. So the Australian dollar here. Now, I was hoping that we could come down a little bit more, push it a little bit more, especially into the 69.7 cents area. I go to the weekly time frame. I've had this analysis on my price chart for God knows how long. And so, ever since this part, I was telling my, students, I think price could go down a little bit more, especially if we stay under this candle here, because this could be a higher high point here for the Australian dollar. And if you guys look at what happened, price is almost coming. I'm not saying it still can't come down, but what I'm saying is, for right now, this was one of the price points that I was hoping price could push down to. It's not there yet. I'm not saying it can't get there, but because the dollar has dropped, this has caused the Australian dollar to for investors and traders to buy the Australian dollar against the United States dollar. And so just dropping down in lower time frames, I was telling students that if we push up past this area, this discrete lower high would definitely push up past it. But now we made a new higher high. Now the analysis is going to change on this pair. I'm not in this trade. I haven't traded Aussie dollar for quite some time now. So, but now I see his hand, and this may change things. So I'm on my hands, but this might change some stuff. So I'll keep you guys updated next week on what's going to happen. Euro USD is another one. The stakes have changed. I go to the weekly time frame here, and I was telling students that maybe price, and I still have 113.500s in my head, that maybe price could come down to 113.5s, but we're not there. And because the dollar has not tanked, I thought price could continue to push down past this bearish candle that we had last week. But obviously, and price did something so significant here. We'll talk about it next week, but price, is pushing up, and looks like today, depending on today's closure, we may have a bullish engulfing candle on our hands. So, this is something that we have to be on the lookout for. And now looking at the daily time frame, as you guys can see, this is now the last lower, and I'm gonna move this. This is not a last lower high, lower low, but it looks like we're getting a higher high here. So now some stuff is gonna change here on this price chart. And this is why I say you have to be adaptable when news hits, especially with this presidential election. If you think price is just gonna go one way forever, or it's just going to keep dropping, especially when you're not on those higher time frames, what happens is you get so caught up on the red and the green on the lower time frames, all those candles, that you forget to really get the overall view of how price is truly moving. And so this is something that I'm on the lookout for, especially going into next week. So we just printed a new high here, and so we had to adapt to that new high. Going into it as well, I'll go into USD JPY, because this is one of the currencies that I actually traded, and now I am out of the trade here. So I'll take you guys to the weekly time frame because this is actually where I entered the trade. Okay, so as you guys can see, we've had a very, very beautiful downtrend on this currency. I've not looked for buys on this pair for a very long time. I've been in sell mode on this pair for the last few months, and I actually entered this trade on this weekly candle right here. Once this weekly candle closed, I actually entered into the trade when the market opened. And some of you guys are going to say, man, you entered the trade on the weekly candle. Yes, I did, because what I've learned in this game is it's not so much about the money you make. It's always about your setup, right? And of course, from your setup comes the money, but you have to get out of the risk mindset, like something is too high or too low for you to buy or sell, when we literally make buy and sell decisions off of things every single day in life. You know, like let's say you go to Walmart, and if you go to Walmart and let's say you're looking at 2 TVs, are you gonna buy an expensive TV because it has more quality that you're looking for and it has the features you want? Or will you settle for a TV that's cheaper and may have some of the qualities that you're looking for, some of the features you're looking for, but you know it's not gonna have as good as graphics, the picture won't be good, the color won't be good, the graphic card won't be as good, but would you just settle just because of the price? Now, some of you may look at it as, well, I'll settle for what I can afford, and some of you say, well, I'll, save a little bit more so I can afford the best quality and features that I want because I'm going to hold it for a longer period of time. I'm going to have it for a longer period of time. That's how I think about some of these currency pairs, especially with me being a swing trader, right? Because I'm holding my trades. So yes, you think about the risk in mind. The risk is you're putting money into a particular currency and you don't know what way it's going to go. But at the same time, if you're viewing it, remember, it doesn't matter what time frame you're trading for a future move. Even if you enter a trade on the 1 minute time frame, the 5 minute time frame, the 15 minute time frame, the 1 hour time frame, you're still holding it so it can move. No, we don't know if price will continue to go, but one thing about it, if you take the time frames out of mind and just focus on the actual setup, it doesn't matter what time frame it's on. If I never told you guys the time frame, you would probably say, oh, that's a good trade. So I'm just focused on what the trade is, right? And so I entered here and it's now, taking me out. So I'm out of the position now. So dropping down to the daily time frame, based on where I entered the trade, yes, price had a slight pullback, but I was managing the trade. So once price gave a pullback, and especially after it spiked this week, I just ended up moving my stops to break even, which means I could no longer have, money left on the trade. And now I'm out of the trade, right? So we've hit profits on that pair there. So it's a really, really good trade. Held it for a few hundred pips for a few weeks. So it was a really good trade. One that I wasn't in was USD Swiss, and it's still going, and this proved to be a really good setup. It follows the dollar index, right? So Euro USD and USD Swiss follow the dollar index, but they correlate oppositely, which means if Euro USD falls, the USD Swiss will rise, and then vice versa, right? So this week Euro USD rose, but the United States dollar versus the Swiss tanked, as we can see this week. So anytime I noticed those, this is a way to hedge the market. You buy one pair and you sell the other correlating pair and against each other, and you can double your profits. Yes, you have 2 trades going on 2 different currencies, but you maximize your profits versus keep putting, trades in on one pair, not really knowing the direction it's going to go if you don't have a good setup. So that's something to, pay attention to. So just like on the monthly time frame with the dollar index, USD Swiss did the same thing, and I correlated this as well too. And it is in my notes, saying that I'm staying neutral, and if it could stay below the price point of the closure here, where it could potentially go back down to 0.89990. And when I drop down to the daily time frame, as you guys can see, it has. So it's shown its hand. I didn't trade this one, so that's fine. But what I do know is I was going to take a setup. Let me break this setup down for you guys as well too, okay? So breaking this setup down, I'm gonna go down to my 4-hour time frame this time, because I was on Instagram yet again. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw this on my stories, and I said, hey, you guys, what could potentially happen with USD Swiss is price could pull back into this zone before it actually makes another move. On the 4-hour time frame, it was so beautiful. price made this beautiful rejection here, and it closed at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we got this doji, and then we got this very beautiful confirmation candle here at 9 o'clock. Around this time, I was with my daughter, because she stays home with me, so we were busy, so I didn't get to catch the moves, right? So because the lowest that I typically try to go is my 4 hour if I'm going to enter. But this was so prime at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then 9 o'clock. It was just so prime. And looking at it now, it just fits so perfectly and so beautifully. So if you caught this move, good job. Or some of them move, good job. So it does pay to just read and stay on these higher time frames from time to time. And then we had got this spike on the 4th. Another one was USD CAD. USD CAD followed my analysis, is not on here, but going to the weekly time frame, yet again, just like USD Swiss, it just keeps doing the same move and same setup. But USD CAD to me was a little bit more choppy than USD Swiss and USD JPY to me. So to me, I knew I wasn't going to trade this one anyway. And I had even told my coaching group, like, something is telling me to stay out of USD Swiss. USD CAD. And I'm kind of glad I did. But it's really good as well too. One that I'm really happy about, we're going to go to New Zealand dollar. This one hit profit so beautifully. So let's break this one down. I got into this one on a 4 hour time frame because it was such a beautiful move. So what had happened was, and let's erase this part. Okay, let's get rid of some stuff because I don't want to confuse you guys with what I'm going to say. Per the weekly time frame, this thing has been pushing up so beautifully. So let's go there first so we can see what's going on, so everything could come together. As you guys can see, this pair is making weekly higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? And now we just made a new higher high here. So watching this on a weekly time frame, I said, man, if this thing can keep pushing, we're gonna come and beat out these 67.9 areas. So that's when I dropped down to my daily to find it. And as you guys can see on the daily time frame, price should be mimicking the weekly, right? The weekly should mimic the daily. So weekly higher high, weekly higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And what I did was, I said, you know what? When I looked at this was the 3rd. I said, the price pushes down tomorrow or whenever, and it comes back into my zone, I'll go ahead and enter the trade. And so as you guys notice, when I trade, I stay to the right. I don't really that much go to the left because I like to trade with current price action. And I teach traders how to trade with current price action versus keep going to the left. Because sometimes if you put too much on the price chart, you're going to do 2 things. Number 1, you're going to clutter your charts, or you're going to cap off your profits when you can just hold the trade. So when I dropped down to the 4 hour, here's what I saw. And this was so beautiful, you guys. Here's what I saw. Right here, okay? This was at 5 o'clock in the morning when this candle closed. And then we had this beautiful candle closure right here at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? And so I looked at it, but once again, I was kind of busy with my daughter, so I had came back a little bit later. And then I saw, we had this candle here. And so what I did was, all I did was just take my fibs and I just put in an order back up here into the -27, and price hit, right? So I ended up getting the trade around this area here. So use my long position tool around this area here up into my -27, and my stops went I just did a fill below because I already saw what we're already pushed ahead. So I'll go ahead and get in this way. And this was a really beautiful setup. I'm telling you, even if you trade this on a 1 hour, the pullback was just too beautiful. So I ended up getting in this one, and now I'm out of this trade. And so this was I'm gonna average it out really good, about 90 something pips within 2 days here. Another one that I'm riding right now, you guys, is New Zealand dollar. So I actually ended up entering this trade on this candle. And where is my thing here? So I actually ended up entering in on this candle right here. This very beautiful bullish candle on Monday when the candle closed. on Tuesday when the candle closed, I actually ended up entering to the trade. And this one, what I like about about Australian dollar is that it makes very beautiful highs and lows when she starts trending. And this was one of the ones that I was telling the Swing Trading Society about as well too, that she's having a really good move up, and I actually just got into another position on her this morning. So this week I've been careful not to really share too much analysis, especially on YouTube or even Instagram. I shared a bit on Euro USD, the dollar Swiss, pound USD, and dollar Swiss and Euro USD, and then what the DAX was doing. But every single move, no. And one of the reasons is some people are uncertain about the news, right? As you guys can see, I'm not looking at a lot of currencies right now. I don't want to overwhelm myself with currency pairs. Not as we're going to the elections in the new year. I've been really trying to focus on getting my personal watch list together, helping my clients get their personal watch list together, my students get their personal watch list together. So next year when we go into the market, in 2021 or even for the rest of the year, you can really home in on some really good trades. And all we do is just keep taking the same setups time and time and time and time and time and time again. And I don't keep my charts cluttered, right? Everything is color coded. And if you're trading the news, that's one of the best things that I can tell you guys right here, right now. For time frames that you guys trade, please color code them. Right? For time frames that you trade, especially when it comes to the news, like let's say for example it's Sunday, and then you know that news is coming out on Friday. Let's say it's not from payrolls. Well, what is the dollar already doing that could lead you into saying, hey, you know what, this week maybe price can go here, so when news come out, it may push price towards that target, or it may spike it to this part to where I can participate in the market. And if you notice, and let's go back to the Euro USD, if you notice here that when news came out, it was already down to this previous low around this area right here, right? We can look at USD Swiss too. USD Swiss, when news came out, it's already at structure. The dollar index, when news happens, it's at structure. So I can almost, I'm not gonna say guarantee you guys, but I can almost, probably maybe 80 to 90% of the time tell you guys that if you back test this information, back test when news comes out, depending on your structure, I can almost, I don't want to say guarantee. I promise y'all I don't want to say that. But I'll just say this. Back test your structures. Just go back 3 months of data, right? Just certain news, major news. And price is going to be at one of your structure areas, right? So if you ever want to know how to trade the news, just see if prices at those structural areas, right? Go back in time, like even how I did with looking at when Obama was in office, when Trump was in office, and then with every structure you're learning how to trade, via that be support or resistance, or supply and demand, or trend lines, or chart patterns, or harmonic scanners, right? With the bat, the Gartley, the cipher patterns, the bat, the crab, whatever it is, even if it's an indicator that you're using. Price is there to help move. That's why news is so important, because when news comes out, it's at important price points. It's at important key structures. It's at important key levels. But it all depends on the time frames you decide to trade them on. So just remember, the higher in time frames you go to trade the news, the higher in time frames that you trade, news won't affect you as much. The lower in time frames that you do trade, it will affect your trading. Okay, so this is just something that I want to kind of encourage you guys in, inspire you guys in when it comes to trading. And if you need help, you guys, if you say, Shaquan, I just love the way you do this, I love the way you break down your price charts, and you say, hey, would you mind working with me? Then click the link down below, you guys, and set up a free 15-minute to 20-minute discovery call with me. And let's talk about how we can work together. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your problems. Let me hear what you specifically need help with, so I can see if we're a good fit to work together, and I can guide you within 3 to 6 weeks, have you practicing and ready to trade on your own. Okay, you don't have to spend a whole year learning this on your own, or 2 years. You don't have to keep buying courses and webinars and all those things. Let me personally help you and I got your back. All right, so you guys, I pray you guys have a safe weekend. I pray you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to the person on Instagram who asked me this question about how to trade the news on your price chart, or how to trade while news is going on, I hope I answered your question. Okay, and so if you guys have any other questions and you like me to answer them via video, you guys just let me know. You guys be blessed.